Hello, good afternoon, and thank you for joining Insight Legal for this latest webinar, where we're discussing unhappy law firm clients. My name is Josh Dallywell, and I'm one of two hosts on this call today. I'm kindly joined by my colleague Andy Butler for this next half an hour. Many of you will be familiar with Andy already. He is, I guess, kind of well known as one of our product specialists. Good afternoon, Andy.
Hi, Josh. Hi, everyone. It's your time.
And I've also got Nathan joining us, and Nathan will be monitoring the chat and QA boxes on Zoom for your questions, and we'll be coming back to both of you later. It's worthwhile mentioning at this point that if you're not already familiar with Zoom, and I should imagine that most of us are experts by now, that if you look at the icons on the toolbar, you'll see the ones that allow you to share your thoughts and questions with the team here. If we do run out of time, we will reach out to everyone whose questions we haven't been able to answer during this live session. And if you are watching this as a recording, questions can be submitted at the end of this webinar to webinars@insightlegal.co.uk, and we'll try and pick up on as many of those as possible. You should also know that questions submitted through Zoom only get seen by myself and my fellow panelists, so please feel free to ask in confidence. This webinar is being recorded as well, so we will be making a copy available to everyone who's registered, and we're hoping that you'll get the link to the video recording on YouTube as a private link, and it's normally by the end of today, or certainly before midday tomorrow, that email goes out to everyone. And really kind of for the benefit of all those joining who aren't already familiar with Insight Legal, and I certainly noticed a few new names on the registration list. Insight Legal is a legal software company, and we typically work with practice managers, finance managers, and senior partners in law firms, really anywhere from sole practitioners to firms of about 150 people. Although I think our largest client is almost close to 250 users now. Okay, and we're really going to start this session by looking at why law firms lose clients, followed by what improvements you can make to ensure your clients stay happy. And also I want to bring in Andy at some point here to show us the new Insight Legal client portal, which is really kind of geared towards improving the communication firms have with their clients and vice versa. And I want to also give you the opportunity not only to share your questions with us, but if you have anything you want to share on this webinar that you think needs a mention, then again, please feel free to share that on the chat, and we'll try and bring that to the audience. Okay, now in terms of, I guess, kind of why do law firms lose clients? I guess the first one I want to talk about here is client expectation. And I guess kind of what I should also mention very quickly is this is by no means an exhaustive list of all the reasons that a client might be unhappy with you. But we've categorized some of the main reasons into these broad categories. Okay, so client expectation being the first one. And this again, it encompasses a number of things that there may be a mismanagement or mismatch on. The cost of work you do is one expectation. The time taken to resolve the issue or complete the work is another. Your availability to discuss updates on the progress of the file with the client on a regular basis, or how often they receive updates from you, are another. And these are just some of the most common areas that a mismatch is identified and can leave a client unappreciated or ignored. Bad service is another, and which is sometimes, it's very another one of those which is sometimes very difficult to quantify and isn't necessarily the same experience had by every client. And and this one is very much based on emotion and sometimes perception. And some of the reasons given by clients for what they perceive to be bad service is lack of empathy on the part of the person working their file. Okay. My wife, for those of you who know me, my wife is a doctor and a very good one. She works in intensive care. And one of the things that she and I regularly talk about is some of the things that education doesn't necessarily prepare you for. You can come out of medical school with 7 years of training, a certificate and a handshake, you know, that says you're ready to go out into the big bad world and remedy patients. But what they don't always prepare you for is dealing with relationships, dealing with death, breaking news to family and loved ones. And I'm not comparing legal work here with being a hospital doctor, but in your kind of dealing with sensitive matters doesn't always come naturally to everyone. And one of certainly the biggest problems in terms of recruitment in the NHS, certainly where junior doctors is concerned, is their doctors' health and well-being, especially, you know, with COVID and the ability with all that stuff that's not being taught in medical school. And again, you know, one of the things that we kind of assume is that because somebody's qualified to undertake some work, that they're able to deal with customers, clients, and that is not always the case. Now, everyone who joins Insight Legal here, as my colleagues well know, undergoes a psychometric test where we try and identify what each individual's strengths are. Not so we can get them to work on their weaknesses, but so we really kind of have the right combination of personalities in each team. Both Nathan and I rank very low in empathy, for example, and some might argue you'd need very little empathy to work in sales. But Andy, on the other hand, scores very highly in empathy and is one of the most successful sales team members here. You know, other reasons for bad service is incompetence. You're undertaking work you're not qualified to do, or there are mistakes made. Billing mistakes, again, being one of the most common reasons why a client might be unhappy. Workload, sometimes you're too busy to give every client and their case your due attention. And it's another reason why clients feel unhappy and sometimes unappreciated. And that could be because you've underestimated how long the file will take to complete, the skill set required, or you're taking on too much work and you're not prioritizing the work you want to do or the work that is going to be profitable for the firm. Okay, and as I mentioned earlier, what we've tried to do here is categorize some of the key reasons from, for clients being unhappy amongst all the various surveys conducted in recent years, on client satisfaction. And I wanted to single out kind of this one here in particular, and that is really kind of bad onboarding as a separate category, because it has a knock-on effect in so many other areas, such as delays because the client hasn't been correctly informed of what's required on their part, important bits of information being mislaid, or there's information sitting in an email, an in tray somewhere, or someone's desktop, and no one else can access it. And again, this is also an area where the communication of expectations and timelines is often mismanaged. So what is it that law firms can improve? What can you do better? Now, this first one may sound strange to some of you, particularly those of you who are business owners, but it is actually okay to say no. The temptation still for a lot of small businesses is to accept every piece of business that comes your way, but sometimes there is a mismatch and it is okay to say no. And it is something that we've embraced at Insight Legal. Okay, we're not a law firm, but we get a lot of inquiries from law firms for our software, and not every prospect is a good fit for us. A client may be too small, they may be too big, what they require from is not compatible, okay, or their timeline doesn't work for us. We have law firms who approach us coming from recommendations that they may have had, and the software is a great fit and it checks all the boxes, but they need to go live next week or the week after. And sometimes that's because they've left it too late, or they don't understand why someone would want to turn business down. but it does happen, and we have to be honest and say those timelines don't work. And although we try our best to offer a suitable alternative, there are cases where we have to say no. And I'm a firm believer that having no customer is better than having an unhappy customer who's going to drain every ounce of your time and energy, not only from you, but also your team, because you've accepted a piece of work you maybe shouldn't have. I put in client training here, but it could equally be relationship training. I think there's an assumption again that if you are qualified to do a job, that you have the people, relationship and emotional skills to deal with clients. It's not for everyone, and if it's lacking in an area, maybe for a good reason, do not assume that it can be trained into everyone, and may mean you need to look elsewhere and bring in specialist client liaison or customer service personnel or customer support personnel, freeing up people, certainly kind of fee earners from the burden of time or doing something they're either not very good at doing, but allowing them to focus on the things that they do very well. I'm not going to dwell too much on this next one here, because we talk about kind of processes and automation quite a lot, especially in our workflow webinars. So if you are interested in finding out more about process and automation, then please do head over to the Insight Legal website, and under the news and events tabs on the website, we have access to all of our previous webinars and how process and automation can add speed on a file, reduce mistakes, decrease kind of repetition, and also kind of ensure compliance rules are followed every time. And I guess I put in kind of evolve here because a lot of the research done on how law firms can improve in their kind of interactions with their clients talk about adopting technology. Okay, and I'm sure all of you on this webinar utilize technology in your practices, but whether that be in how you complete your work or in your interactions with your clients, in how you complete or share documents or email. But what I want to talk about here is about continuing to develop. One of our commitments at Insight Legal to all of our clients is that we will continue to develop our software to meet the needs of a modern law firm. And I believe you have the same expectations from your customers to continue to meet their expectations and requirements as a modern legal customer. And that doesn't mean that you have to be available on demand 24/7. Like Netflix, for example, but really kind of how you allow your customers to interact with you and their case and how you update them on progress. Okay, now I want to bring in Andy here for this next part and what role technology has to play, and he's going to show us the new Insight Legal Client Portal. Okay, this is brand new and only been seen by a small number of our clients who've primarily been those who've been involved in the testing process. And I think we're almost ready to now to start the handover of the client portal to clients. Andy, thanks for being patient. I think you can share your screen now.
Cool. Thank you, Josh. Okay, just share my screen. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see that. So first of all, kind of two buzzwords that everyone talks about, but I really do believe, and I'll try and present this to you now with Portal: communication and efficiency. And it's very easy to show that. I'll do that right now. The portal works with Insight. So it works with the desktop application, which I can see some of the people on the call will have seen before. There's some names I don't recognize. All of this, you'd have a proper demo on, right? But it's just a webinar. I've got 5 minutes to kind of present you how this works. So first off, the portal itself, it's a portal. So anyone on a phone, on an iPad, on a desktop computer can access this portal. With an internet connection, you would see what I can see. And it's optimized for mobile, for iPad, as well as a PC, which you can see now. The branding, the look, the pictures that you would have. So you see I've got that, there's sort of the characters in the bottom right-hand corner. That's yours. This will be made to look sort of like an extension of your website. So your colors, your branding, your logos, it'll all fit together nicely, neatly. A client will be able to see the information that you want them to see. That's really important. I hear this all the time on demos. You will communicate what you wish to communicate. So say, for example, everyone, I had a sale and a divorce with you, and you wish to present to me all of my sale information on the portal, but the divorce stuff, not so much, right? You would not upload that to the portal, and that will be done outside of. What you choose to share is yours to control. So you can see here in my case here, my name's Jonathan Doe, I'm the client. I've got 2 conveyancing matters and a divorce. That's just what we've got built on this portal at the moment. Any type of work, however big or small, sort of the big or small, however much detail you wish to upload to this is again yours to configure. So if I just click on this purchase here, you can see that there's action required. First thing you'll see, this is the overview page. And this is where one part of communication comes in. So the tasks here, this is where the client can log on 24/7 and they can see where the matter is at. All of this wording, however many options you have, the order in which they show is all yours to define. And this is fed from Insight, the desktop application that's yours. And it's fed from the phases, which are just chapters basically of a book, sort of how the file's built. Again, this is a sort of another thing that we've done a webinar on. If anyone wanted a demo, we talk about this at length. And these phases here reflect the tasks. When a phase is completed in Insight, that will automatically update the portal and it would tick that off and mark the next thing as being open. Here it would say completed, finished, sort of wording akin to that, and the client will be able to view that. All of the team members, so I've got the fee earner responsible, a caseworker, you might have, a legal exec, introductory partner on a file, you'll see that here, as well as the client being able to view their own information. You can email someone from here too if an email has been uploaded. When there's action required, so a form needs completing, you can click on complete now and it will open the form. I'll come to that in just a second. The next tab on the left, details. This is where the client can see what figures have been what figures, dates, addresses, questions have been answered, and all the data will again just live here. So if there's ever a requirement to check the data, just to approve it, it's all there. The client can view that within the details. And again, how much you show here, what you show here is yours to define. A really good part of the portal, documents. So rather than putting things through the post, right, emailing things, everything document-wise can be done through the portal. The documents that you upload, that you send back, you can see here, I've got a PDF, put a JPEG, you'll have your docx's. If there's ever a requirement for a spreadsheet, you put that here. The documents are uploaded by you through Insight. It will be a task that would need to be completed. Those documents would be presented to the client here, and the client can download said document to view that. So that's the document piece. There's no limit as to how many things you have in here. That's as straightforward as it is. Forms, this is the biggest part of the efficiency side of the portal. It used to be that you guys would send me a welcome pack, right? I would then go through the welcome pack, ticking boxes, filling things in. I put that in the post, I'd return that to you, and someone would have to transcribe that data from the physical document up into your case management system. That's not required anymore, right? Or at the very least, you can certainly take out some, if not all of that. The forms that you have to complete, which is this part here, the forms that you have to complete can be anything at all. And again, like I keep saying, in whatever level of detail. Text fields, number fields, yes or no questions, sort of binary options. drop downs, dates, all of this data is there to be recorded, and it was all defined by you. When the data is recorded in the portal by your client, that data is then fed back to within Insight, where we are now. You have the option to look at the responses, read the responses. If need be, you can correct a spelling mistake, put a comma in. You can accept the response, and that data has to be checked before it lives within your data set. If there's something that is, wrong, that's rubbish, you can sort of deny it and you can send it back. Right? You can, of course, overtype it, but again, it's yours to control. And that's all within here. When a form is completed, it simply disappears, and all that information recorded will be logged within details as before. Invoices. So what it says in the tin, when I'm issued a bill, the invoice will be presented here. If you wish to sort of upload the document that you've sent me, that would live within documents, your bill, which would be a Word document or a PDF, however you send your bills. Something that Josh and I are going to present in a week or two about a thing called payment links, which ties in with this really neatly. It's a way to just accept payments, 24/7. You don't need a merchant terminal anymore. I don't have to call you to make that payment. When I get home from work, when you guys go home, I can make the payment at any time. When those payments are made, it updates this invoice list and things will show as being unpaid, part paid, paid. And you can view that data here, right? When there's something that needs doing, again, you'll always have that. You have unpaid invoices, that yellow tag, things that aren't complete, right? And that's a theme that just lives through Insight. That is really a very quick overview of the portal. If anyone were to have a demo of it, we go through it in sort of as much detail as you like. I talk more about how it works with Insight and you see those features live. This is just sort of a demonstration portal that we have for calls like this. Okay, but yeah, that's all I've got to say today.
Fantastic, thanks for that. And again, I think kind of one of the key things here, just on the screen that you've got in front of you, is the ability for you in an automated way is to keep the client updated in terms of exactly what's happened on the file, what's been completed. So you can see those check boxes there. You can see that progress is being made on the open stage and when it was started. Okay, and also again, it kind of the ability to kind of speed up the sharing of documents and also inputting information into the case management system, which could be as part of the onboarding of the client process, but again, also kind of regular, I guess, kind of information being fed both ways. Okay, perfect, great. I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. Okay, hopefully you can see that again. And I guess kind of, I want to kind of jump through to the next section here, which is really kind of talking about kind of, I guess, kind of the summary. And I guess for those of you that are Harry Potter fans, you'll hopefully recognize that as the Elder Wand. But the kind of the key message here is that there is no single magic wand to dealing with unhappy customers. Clients want to feel important. Clients want to feel they're being listened to, and that their file is your absolute priority, and that their solicitor and law firm have the required expertise to complete their work in a timely manner and at a reasonable cost. And their questions and concerns are dealt with promptly, and that everyone they come into contact with in your firm, and not just their fee earners, treat their case with the sensitivity and professionalism and attention that it deserves, and any mistakes or delays are owned up to. And also that their law firm is progressive and evolving and embraces technology in the same way that your clients do in their everyday lives. I'm not for a moment here suggesting you start WhatsApping or FaceTiming your clients, but think about the small improvements you can start making, which empower not only you, but the client with the information they need to feel reassured. Okay. Now, we still have time for a quick few questions. Nathan, I've got a couple that you've already kind of posted my way. I guess, Andy, kind of feel free to chip in here with your response on some of these. The first one is the portal standalone or does it integrate with the case management? Do you want to take that one?
Yeah, of course. So absolutely, it's a requirement, to have Insight, to have the portal, and they work interchangeably. The data that you give to Insight, if you like, is the master, and that then feeds through to the portal. So you need you've got to have one to have the other.
Excellent. And I've got another one here. Does it allow clients to upload documents they want to send to us?
Okay, so in this first version of portal, this is the first iteration. No. So you guys, the solicitor, you can upload documents to your client and they can download them. But like I say, in this version at the moment, it does not allow your client to upload documents for you to download back. It's all to do with antivirus and security and sort of that's all it's to do with. We're just figuring out how we can check it on the client side, so you're not downloading sort of anything untoward.
Exactly, and I think that is really kind of the key to this next phase that our development team are working on, which is basically if somebody's sharing a document with you, then how do you ensure that they're not uploading a virus? Okay,
but that is something that will eventually come to the portal. Absolutely.
Excellent. I've got another one here, which I think Nathan has already picked up and directly with the person asking the question, but it's coming back to the payment selection, payment links. And yes, you're correct. We do integrate, or we do integrate with Blink for the payment links. And I think kind of one of the real benefits of that, and we'll be going through that in more detail on the 20th of September. I think we're just waiting to get the registration page for that webinar set up. But yes, we'll have kind of Blink on that webinar with us, really kind of talking and showing us through some of the benefits of that particular feature. But again, I think the key thing as I see it is the ability for your clients to make payments even when you're closed. So it's not having to rely upon somebody talking human to human to hand over card details, etc. It's me coming home from work at 6:30 in the evening, checking my emails, we're seeing that I've got to make a payment on account or a bill to pay, and just being able to click a link and that also be updated in your account system. Okay, Nathan, is there any other questions that I may have missed?
No, all good. Everything's been answered.
Okay, brilliant. We will, as I mentioned earlier, be making a copy of the video recording, so please keep an eye out for that link. Anyone watching this as a live session or recording, please feel free to contact me directly or use the email address for the webinar team that you see on the screen here if you'd like a kind of personalized demo of the client's portal. And as I mentioned very briefly earlier on, so we've got to keep an eye out for the email that comes out, which will allow you to register for our next webinar. I want to thank Andy and Nathan for keeping an eye on your questions and also for participating in this webinar. And I'd like to wish everyone has a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks everyone.